What's up, Pops? How you guys doing? I'm doing great, thanks for asking. Alright, so today is that day that I'm making that video that I told you guys about last week. That was a lot of generalizations. We're gonna talk about Star Wars Episode 7, 8, and 9 and what potentially the movies may be about or might not be about. Really, it's up in the air. We don't know. The only thing that I saw is today there was an article on Huffington Post about how Keri Russell may be in Star Wars Episode 7 because of her relationship with J.J. Abrams. Not that kind of relationship, just she's always been in like a lot of his things. I don't want to see Keri Russell in Star Wars. Sorry. Anyway, so Episode 7. What will it be about? Well, nobody really knows, obviously, except for the people who are currently developing Episode 7. I'm just going to talk about a couple of different things that I personally would like to see in Episode 7, 8, and 9. So if you guys want to also get involved, I will open this video up for open video responses, comments, obviously, and we can all share our ideas of what we think Star Wars will be. So the one thing that I definitely could see them doing, and I'm sure a lot of other people could see them doing as well, is using the Thrawn books to create the Thrawn Trilogy, or Heir to the Empire. It seems like the most obvious choice since it literally follows the storyline 5 years into the future after Episode 6 ended. It introduces some new characters, but it keeps most of the main characters. It seems like the most obvious choice since that's what fans know. Episode 6 ended and these books are what continued the story. A little bit of backstory in case you haven't read the books, which, pause, you should go read the books, unpause. Basically, the focal points, at least for me, I'm sure other people will have different focal points for the books, but for me, the main points were that Han and Leia get married, and they end up with 3 kids, Jason, Jaina, and Anakin. Also, I should pause again and let you know, I'm probably going to butcher some of these names. They're just how I've always pronounced them. I don't obviously have, like, a reference for how they should be pronounced because most of the names have come straight out of books and comic books. So if I say a name wrong and it's different from how you say it, don't jump down my back, okay? Everyone says things differently. Unpause. Also, Luke rebuilds the entire Jedi Order, him being the last Jedi basically on Earth after what took place in Episode 6. He rebuilds it, makes the New Republic, and he also gets married to Mara Jade and has a son who he names Ben Skywalker. There's also plenty of main characters who die. I don't want to drop any names because if there are some of you who are thinking of reading the books, that's something that you should actually experience in the story, so I'm not going to ruin that for you. Also, some really cool characters from the expanded Star Wars universe are introduced, like Mara Jade, who is in fact Luke's wife, but the story is kind of cool because she was actually sent to kill Luke, and then she falls in love with him, and then they get married and have Ben, and it's really cool. They also introduced Talon Karrde, who turns out to be a pretty kick-ass smuggler. And of course we have Grand Admiral Thrawn, whom the entire series is named after, and who took control of the remaining forces of the Empire once Darth Vader was out of the picture. Pretty much the main difference between Thrawn and Vader is that Vader actually punished for failure and insolence, and Thrawn actually is very creative oriented and he expects a lot of different ideas from his officers and subordinates, and even though Darth Vader has a special place in my heart, I have to say Thrawn kind of is a better villain. So obviously the perks of doing this storyline is that it's already written. Fans know this story because they've read it and loved it and seen it in comics. It's been around for a while. And it's pretty cut and dry. Like, they wouldn't really have to do much except for convert the story to an actual screenplay and get the characters. And, I mean, you could change things around, of course. It's not set in stone, but you would have a good basis for a storyline. Now, what do I think they should personally do for the movies? Obviously, and a lot of people are not going to agree with me on this, I'm a huge fan of Star Wars The Old Republic. I've been playing since it came out, and I would love to honestly see 7, 8, and 9 be about the Old Republic. I don't really see it as such a far-fetched idea either, since 4, 5, and 6 were made first in present day, then 1, 2, and 3 were in the past, showing storylines of Anakin turning into Vader and like what happened with the Republic and the Empire. And I think to actually make 7, 8, and 9 even further back is kind of interesting. And I know some people are not going to agree with me because it's completely redefining how to tell a story. Like, normally you start from the past and you go forward, or you start from the present and go forward. Maybe revisiting the past every once in a while, but I think it could work, and I would love to see a storyline with the Old Republic. That's just me. But since that's obviously not going to happen, I think I'd rather see them follow the Solo storyline. So the Han Solo and Leia Organa storyline is definitely intertwined with the Thrawn series, but I would rather see 7, 8, and 9 focused on the Solos as a whole. And the reason for this is that there's really a lot in itself going on with the Solos during the Thrawn books. And I would much rather see the movies centered around main characters that we already know, and then have everything else happening in the Thrawn series happen around that family story. Am I making sense? Probably not. So pretty much what interests me most about the storyline involving the Solos is the 3 kids. So Anakin Solo is the youngest of the siblings, and he's actually named after Vader. His name was picked out by Leia, and it was given to him as a sign of hope. But throughout the entire story, Anakin really struggles with his name and the legacy behind his name, and he just has this like terrible feeling that he's going to turn into his grandfather, and it's like a struggle within himself, and it's really interesting to see him grow from that struggle. All of the kids have some part of the Force inside of them, and Anakin is super gifted with the Force, but he chooses to become a pilot. He ends up being super gifted in mechanical engineering too, so it's just right up his alley. Then we have Jaina Solo, who eventually becomes Jaina Solo Fell when she gets married to Ragged Fell. She's Jason Solo's twin, but she's the oldest by I think it's 5 minutes or something like that. Her story in the books is crazy insane, because in the beginning she gets kidnapped a lot, like her mom used to, and then she becomes Mara Jade's apprentice on her way to become a Jedi, and then she joins the Rogue Squadron, and then she falls in love with Jagged Fell. Then she becomes Kip Duran's apprentice, watches her twin fall to the dark side, has Boba Fett train her, and then she has to do something that's not so good. Dang girl, you've been busy. I think bringing her to life on screen would be amazing, because you would just see her be such a badass the entire time. And then we come to Jason Solo, who has the craziest story of all, and is basically the reason why I would like to see them follow this storyline in the movies. His journey from training as a Jedi to slowly but surely falling to the dark side and becoming Darth Caedus is amazing. Amazing! You don't understand. And if I were to sit here and tell you everything that happens and talk about it, we would be here for an hour, because he's one of my favorite characters in the expanded Star Wars universe ever. And I think watching his story unfold through 3 movies on screen is amazing. If they chose that story, that would be enough for me to be content. I'd be like, done. Disney, you can take Star Wars, and I will love you for it if you put Darth Caedus in this movie. Any of the movies, as long as it has Darth Caedus, I'm fine. Like I said, I don't want to ruin his story, because you really have to read the books. It's so good. But if you want to know more about Darth Caedus, you're not going to hear it from me. So either read the books or go on Wikipedia and look up his story. Like, it's just so good. So good. There has to be someone out there that agrees with me that thinks Darth Caedus is such a badass character. Like, Jaina is badass. No, he is like literally badass because he becomes a Sith. Darth Caedus. I can't. So good. I get really excited talking about him because he's like the coolest character ever. Where I think it would be a good story and a good choice for them to follow the Solos, since it's still connected with the last movies, I'm sure that a lot of people are going to disagree with me, because it's basically episode 1 and 3 over again, since you're watching a Jedi fall to the dark side. That's basically what happened with Anakin becoming Vader. It would be the same thing. So I understand, like, a lot of people are gonna be like, no, it's like not any different. Okay, I get that. I just think that Darth Caedus is so much cooler. Like, so much cooler. But what are you gonna do? I don't know how long I've talked. I'm assuming this is pretty long by now, so I'm gonna let you guys go. But I'm anticipating reading your comments down below. I'm anticipating getting your video responses and hearing what you think it's gonna be about. I'm slowly getting excited. J.J. Abrams, I don't have a problem with him necessarily. He brought a lot of fans to Star Trek where there weren't before with Star Trek 2009, so we'll see. Like, it's up in the air. Like, I haven't really decided. But regardless, I'm kind of getting excited now, because considering my different thoughts on the movies, if they were to follow one of those tracks, I think that'd be awesome. But again, in the news, all they've kept saying is that the storyline for Star Wars Episode 7, 8, and 9 is going to be completely different and a completely original work. So I'm a little bit nervous. since they're saying they're not going to follow any of the books that have been written or any of the lore that's been created in general. So we'll see. Maybe they're just trying to curveball us. I don't know what. Okay. All right. So I look forward to your responses. I will see you guys in a few days with a brand new video. Peace out, Trouts, and may the force be with you.